Welcome, new students, to Shiz University. Miss
Elphaba.
You can room with Miss Galinda.
The title for Wicked Part 2 has officially been switched up, and whether it's a better choice is up for debate, but it's definitely here to stay. Universal Pictures has renamed the sequel to the musical hit Wicked for Good. This follow-up covers the second act of the beloved Broadway show and is set to hit theaters on November 21, 2025. Wicked Part 1 debuted on November 22 and has already made a massive splash, raking in $360 million domestically and over $527 million worldwide. It's now the highest-earning Broadway adaptation ever at the domestic box office, beating out 1978's Grease, which did $188.62 million. Globally, it's the second biggest stage-to-screen hit, trailing only 2008's Mamma Mia, which did $611 million. Jon M is at the helm of the two-part Wicked epic, featuring a star-studded cast that includes Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, and Jonathan Bailey. The story dives into the origins of Grande's Glinda, aka Glinda the Good, and Erivo's Elphaba, later the Wicked Witch of the West, unfolding events before Dorothy ever set foot in Oz. Chu teased the second half of the Ozian story, telling Variety that the follow-up film is a doozy, at least emotionally speaking. I did not know the context of where we'd be in society right now. It becomes 8 times more relevant than before when you are talking about truth and consequences of making the right or wrong choices, he said. It's intense. Wicked has been a huge success both critically and commercially, while also laying the groundwork for a showdown between Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba and the rest of Oz in the second half. The film tells the backstory of the Wicked Witch of the West, starting with Elphaba's time at Shiz University, where she unexpectedly forms a lifelong bond with future Glinda the Good, played brilliantly by Ariana Grande-Butera. Life at Shiz isn't smooth sailing for Elphaba. She starts as the outcast of the student body before eventually becoming best friends with the school's queen bee. The cast features Jonathan Bailey as Prince Fiero, Marissa Bode as Elphaba's sister Nessa Rose, and Ethan Slater as Munchkinlander Bach. These characters have layered relationships with Elphaba and Glinda, adding depth and a touch of self-awareness to the story. Meanwhile, the smaller characters at Shiz highlight the way society reacts during times of political upheaval. By the end of Wicked, Elphaba is propelled into a new chapter of rebellion and danger, leaving her with only a handful of allies from her school days to rely on. In Wicked's ending, chaos erupts at Shiz when Madame Morrible, Michelle Yeoh, broadcasts a message labeling Elphaba as a dangerous fugitive. The students, including Glinda's over-the-top groupies, Fanny and Shen, played hilariously by Bowen Yang and Brownwind James, start packing up and leaving the school in a frenzy. This sudden shift feels jarring, especially since just hours earlier, the same students were acting more friendly toward Elphaba. Many had even gathered at the train station to see her off as she left for the Emerald City. Despite spending time with her and witnessing her passion for protecting the animals of Oz, their deep-seated fear of her resurfaces as soon as the announcement airs. While Fiero quickly departs, likely to help Elphaba, the rest of the student body's reaction feels exaggerated. Their panicked retreats highlight how fragile their acceptance of Elphaba was, showing that their underlying prejudices and fear never really went away. Shiz's over-the-top reaction to Madame Morrible's announcement is a perfect setup for the themes and events of Wicked Part 2. The way Oz reacts to the so-called Wicked Witch borders on absurd, showcasing just how powerful propaganda can be. This is highlighted in the song Thank Goodness, where the citizens of Oz express their exaggerated fear of Elphaba, even though most have never seen her harm anyone. Madame Morrible's manipulation fuels the hysteria, with rumors spiraling out of control. Claims that Elphaba can shed her skin or that water can melt her are prime examples of the ridiculous tales spreading across Oz. This widespread fear and misinformation illustrate how propaganda can twist public perception, turning someone who stands up against corruption into a villain. The movie's ending hints at the larger societal consequences of this mindset, showing how complacency and blind acceptance of baseless rumors will shape Oz for years to come. Thankfully, Wicked Part 2 will deliver some of the musical's most memorable moments, including the powerful scene where Elphaba frees the flying monkeys from the wizard. The flying monkeys are an iconic part of The Wizard of Oz, but Wicked gives their story a heartbreaking twist. In Part 1, Elphaba is tricked by the wizard into casting a spell that gives the monkeys wings in a horrifying moment. Madame Warble later reveals their wings will be used for spying. In Part 2, Elphaba takes matters into her own hands. She sneaks back into the wizard's quarters to free the flying monkeys, only to be caught. During the song Wonderful, the wizard tries to persuade her to join forces, and Elphaba pretends to agree, on the condition that the monkeys are set free. Once they've escaped their cages and flown away, Elphaba rejects the wizard's offer, showing her true resolve. In the end, the flying monkeys stay loyal to Elphaba because she genuinely cares about them, adding another layer to her character and her fight against injustice. This scene is said to be a standout moment that brings more depth to this epic story. Another memorable moment is when Elphaba and Glinda reconcile during For Good. Their friendship is at the heart of Wicked, so the story wouldn't feel as hopeful if they didn't patch things up. This happens right before the emotional duet For Good, as they bond over their shared grief after Fiero's supposed death. Elphaba, trying to protect Glinda, gives her the Grimoire and urges her to leave to avoid the stigma of being her friend. Glinda, however, wants to clear Elphaba's name, but Elphaba makes her promise not to. Their bittersweet song is both heartwarming and tear-jerking. Given the real-life bond between Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, who play the leads, fans can expect a performance full of emotion, perfectly capturing the essence of a meaningful friendship. Next up is the moment when the wizard finds out Elphaba was his daughter. A lot of Wicked's story raises questions about how and why, since we already know how it ends based on The Wizard of Oz. But one big who mystery that sets things in motion from the start is the identity of Elphaba's dad. In all versions, it's revealed that the wizard is actually her father. Before becoming the ruler of Oz, he had a fling with Melina Thropp, Elphaba's mother, and gave her a green potion, which is why Elphaba has green skin. This scene in Wicked Part 2, which happens after Elphaba's death, is sure to get fans excited. Glinda figures it out and exposes the truth to the wizard, adding a layer of irony since his actions with Melina Thropp were ultimately his downfall. It'll be great if Wicked Part 2 tweaks the musical a bit and lets Elphaba discover her biological father's identity before her death. The last big moment is when Elphaba successfully fakes her own death. One of Wicked's major departures from The Wizard of Oz is that Elphaba doesn't actually die at the end of the Broadway musical, and this will likely be reflected in Wicked Part 2. Fiero sends her a letter with a plan to fake their deaths and escape. Since Kiamoko was once his castle, he knew about the secret trapdoors she could use. He suggests she fake her melting by water, a rumor he had previously found laughable, and escape through a hidden door. In the darker Wicked book by Gregory Maguire, Elphaba dies by accident when Dorothy splashes her with water while the witch's broom is on fire, unaware that Elphaba is allergic to water. But in the musical, Elphaba pulls off her plan perfectly, and Fiero arrives at the castle after her supposed death so they can leave Oz together. This is one of the most exciting moments to look forward to, especially for the passionate Wicked fan base. After all, Elphaba truly dying would have been way too dark for the musical's more uplifting tone. Well, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this and other exciting upcoming movies. See you next time!